Shalom, shalom. All right, shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Rakah Kodesh. Double honors to the elders and the apostles of Great Millstone, and peace and blessings to the elect. And as you can see in the title, there's so much news, it's hard to keep up. And, this is basically, in essence, if you've been following the things that have been happening, and you've been on your watchtower, you noticed that, or over the years, there's times when there's so much information coming out related to prophecy that it feels like, it's almost impossible to keep up. All right, even watching different brothers' videos, you know, and that's a good thing. It's a good thing that videos are constantly going out, the edification is constantly going out. It's like a mighty stream, that like a tsunami that's just swallowing up, everything everywhere, and that's good. Okay, but it also means what? That these prophecies are in high gear. That the times are moving faster, as the Lord said they would. you know and now it's like every couple of hours, every couple of minutes, there's some notification, some breaking news somewhere on different events that are happening, different effects of the current events, the current quote unquote crises that are taking place in the world. Now, I was reading an article called "The Scariest Paper of 2022," and in that article, I'm still reading it because it's a fairly long article, but it has a lot of good information in there. And in this article, called "The Scariest Paper of 2022," they go into how mass unemployment is coming. Millions of people are about to be unemployed because of the Fed's plan to bring down inflation down to their target, which I believe is around 2%. And they're saying now that the only way, or the way that they plan to do it, is by hiking up interest rates. So as you read the article, it tells you how the problem with that is, if you're gonna go by hiking interest rates, you need to raise those rates to a certain point, or the point that you need to raise the rates to in order for you to hit your target of inflation, or bring inflation down to your target goal, is going to be so detrimental to the labor sector, all right, that you'd have to, be willing to allow unemployment to reach what they're saying that statistically, as of right now, if they were to go with that, unemployment would be 6.5%. That would be the unemployment rate by 2023, 2024, which doesn't sound like much, but that's actually millions and millions of people getting laid off from their jobs. Now, it's one thing if you have inflation where people still have jobs, and I guess their income does go up. I mean, very small, but to some extent, right? As opposed to people not having jobs at all. And then there's no guarantee that raising this interest rate and causing this unemployment rate to skyrocket is actually going to quell inflation. Now that is a very worst case scenario for them, where you give it your all and you completely pretty much risk crashing the economy, because that's what they're doing. All right, and then it still doesn't bring down inflation. Now, are the feds actually going to be hurt and all mad and shit? Likely not, because in their objective, they love this position. They love this position where they are now in a place where they can say, we have to do this, right? Because this is something that they wanted to do from the beginning, and they've been able to go and basically turn things around to where if they did this because they just wanted to and nobody was on board, then people would blame them. People would say, yo, what the hell you guys doing? What the hell y'all up to? Y'all, what are you doing? But All right. Yeah, they're gonna say, "What are you doing?" But when you turn it into something where everybody's like, "All right, you know what? This is the way it has to go. If not, there's no way out." Then I mean, that's perfect for them. You're saying, "Wow, that what I want to do is what we have to do." You know, what I want to do is what we have to do, which is great for them. But with all that aside, because that's just one aspect, right? You still have the energy crisis. They're saying that this will lead to basically a labor crisis, right? You have the energy crisis, you have the food crisis. I mean, what isn't a crisis nowadays? But it's so much, you know, it's so much happening, as the scriptures say it, and even in the book of Habakkuk about though it tarry, wait for it shall surely come, it will not tarry. You know, and these are still the beginning of sorrows, as the Lord said. So now I want to get a quick precept here, because as all these things are happening, we still have to stay watching. Okay, and with so much information going out, your number one thought priority should be being occupied in the prophecies. Now, that doesn't mean stop everything else you're doing. Obviously, there's still things you have to do, you know. But in terms of at the end of the day, what's on the back of your mind, what's on the front of your mind, what's on the side of your mind, should ultimately be these prophecies. As the scriptures say, if your mind is stayed on it. This is the book of Sirach, chapter 39, verse 1. It says, "But he that giveth his mind to the law of the Most High, and is occupied in the meditation thereof, will seek out the wisdom of all the ancient, and be occupied in prophecies." Now, the meditation thereof does not mean that you got to drop whatever you're doing, get a carpet, lay it in the air, sit on it, and make humming sounds. Okay? Meditating, in a nutshell, is thinking on something. You know, you're pondering upon something, you're thinking about it, it's on your mind, you know, you're meditating on it. But as it says here, and it's occupied in the meditation thereof. So, and usually when you read and you're staying in the spirit, naturally your mind will be occupied upon these things. Especially like if you're reading a certain book in the scriptures, you know, when you find yourself that when you're doing something else, randomly, like a thought will come from that chapter or book that you're reading into your mind. Sometimes it'll be a thought that leads to the inspiration for a lesson. Sometimes it might just be something you recollect, or it might be a question, and it might just come random, like boom. Oh wow, so this individual really did this. Yeah, that's kind of crazy, because damn, the Lord really had him do. And then you'll just start thinking about it, you know, and then you want to go and read it some more. All right, but it says here, and sometimes you're just there, and it just, you know, you get hit. Sometimes you just get hit in the spirit with certain I wouldn't call them realizations, because you already knew them, but certain things that just like more emphasis gets put on it. For example, Jacob's trouble. For example, the MOTB. Now we know we're close. We always say it, but sometimes you just get, it just hits you in the head. Damn, we're really close. You know, seeing these things happening. So it says here, it says, and be occupied in prophecies, because that's where your mind is stayed upon. That, you know, when you're expecting something, or you're looking forward to something, or you're hoping for something. Once again, I'm gonna go back to the job interview situation, right? You go for a job interview, and they tell you we'll call you back within the next week. What do you think is gonna happen from the day you walk out of that building up until they give you that call back? Anytime your phone goes off, you're looking at it, and the first thought in your mind is it them? You know, anytime you constantly find yourself thinking about it, wondering if it's them, wondering if you got it, wondering if they're gonna, you know, give you the job, if, you know, you're praying, all of these different things, but you're constantly thinking about it. It's constantly on your mind. See? So in essence, that's how these prophecies are. You know, it constantly is on your mind, because that's where your priority is. Your mind is heavily stayed upon that. So it goes on to read, he will keep the sayings of the renowned men, and where subtle parables are, he will be there also. And also, you know, as you read into these different topics and headlines, you'll notice that certain talks that you hear on the news start to make more sense, right? When you hear people talking about this, or they're planning to do this, you understand what does that actually mean. you know, and damn, wow, that must be really bad. So, you know, sometimes certain headlines come out and people have certain reactions for them. If you don't really know much about what is being spoken about, you might not understand why they give such reactions to certain topics, certain words, certain sayings. You know, but when you learn, you learn a few things on it, then you can understand, damn, yeah, no, that is crazy. You know, because you understand what does that mean. Because every group or topic has its own set of its own lingo, so to speak, right? You have financial terms, right? You have, political terms. You have all these different kinds of terms. So certain words, certain keywords and phrases and scenarios that happen, people that are familiar with the lingo, so to speak, are able to fully understand what is actually going on. What does that actually mean, right? So it goes on to read. It says in verse 3, he will seek out the secrets of grave sentences and be conversant in dark parables. He shall serve among great men and appear before princes. He will travel through strange countries, for he hath tried the good and the evil among men. And that's going to come by experience, via the scriptures. Reading the scriptures, living after the writings in the book, it increases you on all these different levels, but you get out what you put in. Okay? So it says, verse 5, he will give his heart, which means your mind, to resort early to the Lord that made him. Will open his Shalakia, the Lord that made him, and will pray before the Most High, and will open his mouth in prayer and make supplication for his sins. Because this shows what you truly care about. Where's your mind at? Where's your focus? What are you constantly thinking about? All right. And it never leaves your mind. It's always there. It's always there. It's always there. And it always comes back to one thing. There's certain things that you may want, that you may get, certain things you may not want, that whatever the case may be, but at the end of the day, it always comes back to one thing, which is this truth, which is prophecy, look, it doesn't matter where you at in life. If you are truly, sincerely about this thing, it doesn't matter what you're doing. If you get a call, you see a video, or a brother messages you or something like that and shows you something, like, I'm just making up a headline right now, right? But let's say, boom, Biden just signed executive order making the new form of currency, this this digital CBDC, and the payment form is going to be by the RFID CHIP. If you saw something like that and they're going to effective starting next week or whatever the case is, if you saw something like that, man, it doesn't matter what you're doing. You gonna stop, and with excitement, you gonna get super excited, and your mind is going, your prophetic dopamine levels are gonna be shooting up and down, thinking about this, because you can't forget it. And even those that quote unquote that fell out of the truth, that went their own ways, they can't forget this. The Lord might bug you out. The Lord might take the spirit off you. He might do all that, but guess what? Prophecy remains prophecy, whether you believe it or not. But you know it, and you'll see it. And as it becomes more prevalent, you'll be afraid. But it goes on, verse 6, it says, when the great Lord will, he shall be filled with the spirit of understanding. See, when the great Lord will, not your will, but the Lord will. All right? Because the Lord is the one who gives wisdom, knowledge, and understanding. The Lord is the one who increases and decreases. The Lord is the one that causes to come Salakia, that causes to come to pass. So it says here, he shall pour out wise sentences and give thanks unto the Lord in his prayer. He shall direct his counsel and knowledge, and in his secrets shall he meditate. And this is very important, because as these things start to come upon the face of the earth, you got to have a mind well instructed, a mind after the ways of the Heavenly Father, to be directed in these times, to know what kind of decisions to make during these times. All right, because look, Jacob's trouble is going to come with a lot of hard decisions, things that, because everything, the stakes are going to be higher for everything. The risk is going to be greater for everything. Everything you do is going to have greater consequences, because this isn't going to be like this time where you make trivial decisions. Oh, well, you take an umbrella, don't take an umbrella. Take an umbrella, don't take an umbrella. Oh, I didn't take an umbrella. Oh, it rained. All right, I got wet. It's fine. I'll buy one when I go outside. That in Jacob's trouble, it's not gonna be like that. You know, if you make a decision, it's not just gonna be, oh, okay, tomorrow I just will make another decision. No, however it affects you, that goes deep. You know, because things are not gonna be as convenient or easy to access as they are now. Verse 8, he shall shew forth that which he hath learned, and shall glory in the law of the covenant of the Lord. And that's why the scriptures are very important to know and to learn and to meditate upon, because you never really stop learning, especially when you deal with the scriptures. You can never learn enough. All right, you're always learning. You could read a precept, come back to it 2 years later and read it, and yeah, you understand what it means, but you might get a little bit more each time. You know, so whenever you read the scriptures, there's not one book that you just read and then, all right, I read from Genesis to Revelation and the Apocrypha included. All right, now I'm done. I'm good. I don't gotta read it no more. No, you gotta, because it's a sword. You gotta constantly use it. That means that even if you know all the breakdowns, guess what? You gotta keep on going over them and over them and over them. All right, it's not just, oh, I go over it once, I learned it once, and that's it. Close the book, because you'll forget it. You'll become rusty. You know, you'll forget precepts. You'll forget how one precept connects to another. So you got to constantly be in practice. You got to constantly go back. Even if you know it, you still got to go back and review it every time, refresh it in your mind. You know, back to the basics sometimes. You know, back to reading some of the old stories, reading all these different things, because remember that we're constantly growing through the spirit and power of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai. All right, mainly in the mind, right? Your spirit and in your mind. So there's a difference between reading a certain book when you first came into the truth, maybe 1 year in, versus reading that same book 5 years in, 10 years in, 15 years in, 20 years in, because you've grown. The way you think has matured even more in the spirit. So there's certain things that when you go back and read, sometimes it feels as though you never read it before. And you're like, I know I've read this book before. Why do I feel as though I just never saw this part written in here? It was always written in there. You read it, but you didn't have the understanding that you have now. The mind that you've been given now can see more, right? So you can read about maybe something that an individual did, right? One of the men of old did. And when you first read it, it might just be something they did to you. But now after going through certain experiences, right? And after growing, when you go back and read it, you can actually understand what was the thought process behind this decision that they made. Why did they make this decision? You know, and it can make more sense to you, and you can actually learn more from it. So that's why when you read in the scriptures, this is one of those books that you never finish reading it. All right, there's always something you can go back to and get engaged in and review on or dig deeper on. It's so vast. All right, now the next precept here, going back to the topic at hand, which is there's so much news that it's hard to keep up. And ultimately, that's why it's important that we all do show the same diligence as the Apostle Paul said, because one person cannot keep up with everything. Okay, so that's why we have a body. We have eyes set everywhere, different brothers looking at different things, you know, doing videos and lessons, going into the scriptures, because we all understand the scriptures, you know, but I can't do 3 videos at the same time on 3 different topics. I only have 1 mouth. I only have 2 eyes. I only have 1 brain. I only have 2 ears. If I'm looking in one direction, that's the direction I'm looking in. So that's why the Lord set up watchmen, and he set up a body. If one brother's looking this way, the other brother's looking that way, the other brother's looking that way. So, and we all have the same knowledge. So it's as though I was looking north, south, east, and west. That's why Yahweh Shai said that they may be one even as we are one, because having multiple brothers is almost like having clones of yourself, because Whatever you gonna hear from this brother, that's pretty much what you're gonna hear from me, or you're gonna hear from the next brother. See? So if I'm looking in the West and I'm gonna see something, I'm gonna go into certain precepts and explain it. Guess what? Whatever brother's looking in the East, he's gonna see something and go into certain precepts and explain it. Well, if I was looking in the East, I'd do the same thing. I'd go into these same similar precepts and break it down. You know, so that's why it's so important that we have, you know, different members in the body, because we're all one body. We all have the same purpose, you know, but we have multiple eyes, you know, and different brothers are able to see different things, you know, send different articles here and there, and we're all in the loop. And that's a great benefit to the witnesses or to the sheep, because then you get the labor. We do the labor, but now you have access to it all. But even then, it's still a lot, because you can't watch every video. This is the book of Isaiah chapter 42, verse 9. It says here, "Behold, the former things are come to pass, and new things do." Oh, it's like here. The former thing. So that's how we know these things that are gonna happen before they happen, because we're told, we're informed of them. You know, because it's been revealed onto us pursuant to Amos 3 and 7. And that's a beautiful thing, because if you know something before it happens, you can be better prepared before it happens. You have more time to take more actions before whatever it is happens. So moving on, this is the book of, and where are you going to get those warnings and that information? Let me see. Shalom, Yahweh B'Hashem, Yahushai Barakatham. This is, man, these are some good precepts. All right, this is, all right, Bayani Yasharallah, 1 Peter 2 and 2, "As newborn babes desire the sincere milk of the word, that ye may grow thereby." Khan, yep. And the Lord will increase you in due time. GMS Truth Be Told 144, 1 Timothy 4 and 13, "Till I come, give attendance to reading, to exhortation, to doctrine." Exactly. All right, that's because that's what keeps your mind stayed upon the word of the Lord. Yahweh's warrior, Joshua 1 and 8, it says, "This book is the law that shall not depart out of thy mouth, but thou shalt meditate therein day and night, that thou mayest observe to do according to all that is written therein. For then thou shalt make thy way prosperous, and then thou shalt have good success." There you go. Okay, so that's and these the scriptures tell you what are the benefits of following, you know, of reading, of studying, and you, if you actually follow it, you'll see those benefits. This is yep, Bayan Yasharallah, Matthew 25 and 15, "And unto one he gave 5 talents, to another 2, and to another 1, to every man according to his several ability, and straight away took his journey." Yeah, so we've been given abilities, all right, according to the measure or the portion of the Spirit that the Lord gave each and every one of us, and we ought to use it to the best that we can. GMS Truth Be Told 144, Ephesians 4 and 16, "From whom the whole body fitly joined together and compacted by that which every joint supplieth." Exactly, because every not only do we all have the understanding of the scriptures, brothers have different specialties, which is needed. You have brothers that are really knowledgeable on the herbs, knowledgeable on history, can give you good advice, you know, knowledgeable on breakdowns, knowledgeable on whatever the case may be. Okay, different kinds of topics, different things in the scriptures, moral like lessons, ecclesiastical lessons, proverbs kind of lessons. So, you know, there's constantly a feeding from whatever you need. So if you need spiritual breakfast, there's that. Lunch, dinner, all of that. It says here, according to the effectual working in the measure of every part. Now, this is the book of Isaiah, chapter 34, verse 16. It says, seek ye out of the book of the Lord and read." And what's the book of the Lord? The scriptures. It says, "No one of these shall fail, none shall want her mate. For my mouth it hath commanded, and his spirit it hath gathered them." And that's what we're seeing. None of the words in these scriptures are failing. They're all coming to pass. Okay? And none shall want her mate, because there's no other book that's on the same level as the scriptures. All right? That you can say, all right, I'm going to merge this. The scripture is missing this piece, and I'm going to merge this other piece from this other book to it, and I'm going to get that completely. No, you're going to corrupt the 100% pure word, or the purity of the word of the Lord. And you don't want to be guilty of that. But the point is, you got to seek out of the book of the Lord, which we are doing now. And that's how we're able to get all these answers and stay calm and stay in the spirit, stay in the right mindset. All right. And stay up to date, because we're seeking out of the book of the Lord. And we are assured that none of these things are going to fail. When everything else fails, this will not fail. That's why we're so confident in it. Now, this is the book of Luke, chapter 21, verse 36. Because at the end of all of this, it says, watch ye therefore and pray always, that ye may be accounted worthy to escape all these things that shall come to pass, and to stand before the Son of Man. All right. And that's the goal. You want to pray that you may be accounted worthy to escape these things, because they're coming. They're here. The crash is already happening, and mass, like it says, a lot of people are about to lose their jobs in an already difficult economy, and it's going to make it very, very, very difficult. People are going to start looking to cut corners. People are going to start, trying to find ways to survive, and it's going to lead to desperate actions. As the saying goes, desperate times call for desperate measures. All right, so that's coming. That's coming. And every day it's closer and closer and closer and closer. So, at the end of the day, that's why the scriptures say, watch as well as pray. Okay, and pray always, that you may be accounted worthy to escape these things that shall come to pass, that the Lord may have mercy on you and feed you during the famines, and protect you from the pestilences and the chaos and the violence, and all of these things. They're talking about in Illinois, basically the what was it, the cash something, the cash something bill, whatever they're doing away with, so pretty much, man, let's keep our eyes open, but we already know what direction these things are going to head in. All right, so with that, I'm going to end it here. Lord willing, that was edifying to the elect. In closing, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Rakah Kodesh. Until next time, Shalom.